No.
I have less lethal.
4 units.
Okay, 549. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Drop the knife. Drop it.
Drop the knife. Drop the knife or you will be shot.
Don't.
Drop the knife. Let me see your hands.
What you just heard, that wasn't supposed to happen. Not here, not on a call like this. Because this wasn't a manhunt. It wasn't a violent crime in progress. It started with something much quieter, much more fragile. A call for help. A man named Jose reportedly making suicidal comments. That's what brought officers to his door. Not to arrest him, but to save him. And yet, within minutes, everything begins to slip through their fingers like sand. When officers arrive on scene, the tone is controlled, calm even. You can hear it in their voices. They're not rushing in aggressively. They're talking, explaining, trying to build a bridge between authority and empathy. They mention the messages, the concern, the reason they're there. They offer help, an ambulance, a mental health evaluation. It's standard procedure, yes, but more than that, it's an attempt to slow things down before they spiral. Because situations involving mental distress are unpredictable. One wrong move, one misunderstood word, and the entire dynamic can flip. And then comes that moment, the question that changes everything. What do you got in your hand? It's subtle, but it hits like a spark near gasoline. Because now the officers aren't just dealing with a vulnerable individual, they're facing an unknown threat. Their posture shifts, their voices tighten just a little, still controlled, but now there's urgency underneath. You can almost feel the calculation happening in real time. Distance, reaction time, risk. Jose doesn't respond the way they expect. There's hesitation, maybe confusion, maybe defiance, maybe something deeper, something internal that no one else can see. This is the part people often misunderstand about mental health crises. From the outside, it looks like non-compliance, but inside that person's mind, it could be chaos, fear, voices, overwhelm, a complete disconnect from reality. And in that space, even the simplest command, drop the knife, can feel impossible. The officers continue trying, repeating commands, keeping space, calling for backup, even requesting less lethal options. That detail matters. It shows intent. It shows they're not rushing toward lethal force. They're trying to manage it, control it. But here's the harsh truth. These situations don't wait for perfect solutions. They evolve faster than anyone can fully process. Seconds stretch, tension builds, and then it breaks. Gunshots, loud, sudden, final. Everything after that becomes a blur of commands, confusion, and adrenaline. Drop the knife, stay down, let me see your hands, over and over again. Because even after shots are fired, the threat doesn't instantly disappear. Officers are trained to assume danger until it's completely neutralized, and in those moments, there's no room for hesitation. But listen closely, and you'll notice something else layered beneath the commands. Concern. They keep calling his name, Jose, not suspect, not target, Jose. It's a small detail, but it carries weight, because despite everything that just happened, they still see him as a person, a human being who needed help, and somehow ended up here. Then comes the shift. The urgency changes direction. EMS is on the way. The same officers who were just shouting commands are now focused on saving a life. Gloves, CPR, medical response. The energy flips from defense to rescue. It's almost jarring how quickly that transition happens. One moment, it's life-threatening tension. The next, it's a race against time to keep that life from slipping away. And this is where the real weight of the situation settles in. Because no one walked into this expecting it to end like this. Not the officers, not the person who made the call, and certainly not Jose. You have to wonder what was going through his mind in those final moments before everything escalated. Was he scared, confused? Did he understand what was happening around him? Or was he trapped inside something far heavier, something invisible to everyone else in that moment? These are the questions that linger long after the body cam footage ends, and they don't have easy answers. because incidents like this sit at the intersection of two very different worlds, law enforcement and mental health, both operating under pressure, both dealing with uncertainty, and sometimes those worlds collide in ways that lead to outcomes no one truly wanted. From the officer's perspective, every second counts. A visible weapon changes everything. Training kicks in, survival instincts take over. The margin for error disappears. They're not just thinking about the individual in front of them. They're thinking about their partner, their surroundings, the possibility of escalation. It's a chain reaction of split-second decisions. But from Jose's perspective, it might have been something entirely different. A moment of crisis, a cry for help that didn't come out in words. A mental state where reality feels distorted and trust becomes fragile. Where even the people trying to help can feel like a threat. And in that gap between intention and perception is where tragedy often lives. As the scene settles, the chaos slowly gives way to procedure, communication with dispatch, securing the area, waiting for medical teams. The adrenaline starts to fade, replaced by something heavier, something quieter, the realization of what just unfolded. Because once the noise dies down, what's left is the outcome. And outcomes like this stay with everyone involved. For the officers, it becomes another incident report, but also something more personal, a moment replayed in their minds, every decision, every command, every second leading up to the shots fired, wondering if anything could have been done differently. For the viewers, it becomes a story, a clip, a discussion, debates about what was right, what was wrong, what could have changed the outcome. But at the center of it all is a human being who needed help, and a situation that spiraled faster than anyone could stop it. This is the reality of these encounters. They're messy, complicated, filled with gray areas instead of clear answers. And while it's easy to judge from the outside, it's much harder to truly understand what it feels like inside those moments. Because when you strip everything else away, the protocols, the procedures, the analysis, what you're left with is something simple and deeply uncomfortable. A call for help that didn't end the way anyone hoped. And once it reaches that point, there's no rewind.